guys, welcome back to One Too Many Interests. Today I have doesn't really have to do with comics, but it does have to do with both major comic publishers, so DC and Marvel. So back in 1972, DC purchased the rights to the Tarzan publication, and during that year, they first published their first issue, number 207, in April 1972. But later on in the year, they printed their first dive into digest books, which are smaller, compact, more focused towards adults at that time. And they printed a one-shot of Tarzan. This came out in September, and like I said, it's a one-shot, but it has the cover art by Joe Kubert, and then the inside is all the artwork inside is from Russ Manning, and then there's a ape English dictionary at the end that was done by Joe Kubert, or probably a combination of both Joe Kubert and Russ Manning. But this was DC's first dive into digest. So it was meant to be a one shot, like I mentioned, and the contents, all these illustrations are the comic strips are from Sunday strips from January 14th, 1968, all the way through January 5th of 1969. So what they did, they just took all those and condensed them, put them in a book. And it's pretty awesome because it's, like I said, it's their first dive into digest readers. And not only did I get one of them, I got two. This is the better of the two. You can see, well, not really in the best condition, but still, they're both complete. Doesn't look like they've ever been read, because if they were read over and over again, there would be huge creases here. This one's got a little bit of, probably from the manufacturing, but I'm really happy to pick these up because they're a big piece of, like, stepping out of their bounds of doing something different. So, and then, not to be left out, the next year, the following year, Marvel did their own little dive into digest readers under the Curtis Magazine's label. And the first one that they ever produced was Hunt of Horror #1, which is this issue here. Came out in June, and it focused on short prose, like horror fiction and fantasy stories, and it was geared toward an older audience. So there's really no illustrations. It's all little short stories. There are some pictures in there, but there's an ad for cigarettes, and of course, but I had to make that ad revenue. So, but like I said, it was geared toward an older audience, and that was reflected in the pricing, because a regular comic book at that time cost 25 cents from Marvel, and this cost 75 cents. Like I said, this is the first issue, and then it was supposed to be a bi-monthly release. So 2 months later, in August, they released Haunted Horror #2 here, featuring, has a short prose story, Devil Knight in there, and has a bondage cover. So, like I said, I didn't really get to read any of these, but there's still nice little pickups that have to do with the DC and Marvel's wanting to expand outside the comic realm, and try to get in on older audiences back in the day. But it was only these 2 issues that came out. So there's no more. There was a third one planned, but because of low volume in sales, they discontinued the series. They did come back to it in I forgot what year, and they started making digest again, which was a little bit more successful, but I guess nobody was ready for these at that time. But they're still a little really hard to come by. So, but they're in pretty good condition. And the same thing too. I don't think any of these. I play red because it would have bins, and all kinds of folds and white lines, color breaking. But these being so old, I really don't want to open them up because it's just glue holding them, and it's over 50-year-old glue, so I'm not trying to ruin them. This one too as well has another cigarette ad on. So, I mean, it's a pretty cool piece of history. Them trying to expand outside the comics and do something different. Didn't work, and they noticed that. But I mean, it's contained both. This lot just contained both DC's and Marvel's, wanting to expand out a comic. So each one of these is their first dive into digest. So this is from Marvel, this is DC. So it's a pretty cool piece of history, and something they're great additions to my collection overall, even though they're not comic books. So I'm just happy to own them. So this one, like I said, this is the worst. This is the better of the two copies, so I'm gonna hold on to this one. This one, maybe I'll hold on to it for a little bit and then pass it on to somebody else. But just a quick little lot that I picked up from Goodwill. Some great pieces of history, and I'm happy to add them to the collection. And with that being said, guys, like I say, collect what you love, have fun doing it, and happy hunting, guys. Until then, I'm out.